Good morning, everybody. I believe we're doing a close-up video here, a regular old close-up on YouTube. So if you're watching the regular Kitten Academy stream and you'd like to chat on YouTube and see the kittens a little bit closer, full screen, join me over on the close-up. You should also be able to hear it and see it just fine from the regular Kitten Academy live stream, though, if that's your thing. And I see people in here pretty quickly this time. That's nice. I suspect everything is working. So, the big news, of course, is, well, first off, I should start, because we didn't get much time to talk last week. Our mom cat here has a name, which is Thimble. That's Thimble, Thimble, and I know I've mentioned that at a couple of the micros, and I mentioned it during mailbag, but I haven't had an official close-up to mention it during, so there you go. And, of course, she had me up all night. She went into labor last night around 10 p.m., and she finished around 4 a.m. So she picked just the time that I would have to spend all night up with her, and I did. And it was nice. It was a good delivery, actually. She did a good job. She was a long time in between kittens, obviously, but she made it through. And they're very pretty little kittens. We'll show them all to you up close in just a second. I weighed them this morning, and that's kitten number one right there. Let's get real and close with his face if we can. Well, he was looking this way. She was looking this way. I believe, I've already checked, I believe that this first kitten, the little black one that we're looking at there that's moving around so much, is a girl. And the second kitten, who happens to be this one right here, is a boy. And the third kitten, who, that's a paw, that's not a kitten, there we go, is buried in between them, is also a girl. Also, the third kitten is the one that we had been calling Lefty, who was inside mom on her left-hand side and was just kick-punching all day long. That's number 3, so just in case you were curious about that, his first kitten we've really identified as having a certain personality even before birth. We'll see if she keeps that up or not. So yeah, as Megalina says, the first kitten was born before midnight and the other two after, so they do technically have different birthdays, just like Megalina said in the YouTube chat there. Also, if you hear the sound of water, I will talk about this. I just put a fountain in here, and it's making a lot of noise, so you'll probably hear some of that over time. You can also see she's got a selection of foods here. If you've been paying attention to the regular Kitten Academy live stream, then you know that she's been a little sick the last few days. She's been vomiting up her food and not wanting to eat very much, which could just all be because of the labor. I think some of it could be because of the deworming that she had to have done. So those things could be combined to cause her to feel extra sick, but we're definitely keeping an eye on her to make sure that it's not anything more than that. Unfortunately, so she did eat a couple of the placentas, which I thought was a very good sign. And actually kept down most of that. So those are a little bit of reclaimed calories that I think are very good for her. But other than that, she hasn't been willing to eat too much. So this morning, you might have watched me feed her a little bit of food by syringe in her mouth. And we're going to see if she keeps that down. I'll do some more of it. If she doesn't start eating on her own, I will continue to syringe feed her as long as that's working. And if the syringe feeding, if she doesn't keep that down, then I've already talked to our vet and to one of our friends on Discord who is a vet. Both of them have suggested that we give her either Zofran or Serenia to help with the nausea and see how that goes, as well as giving me some advice for things to look out for and bring her in if it turns out to be a real issue. So that's where we are on her health. But considering I fed her by syringe, like an hour or so ago, and she's still here and not vomiting, that seems like a good sign to me. I'm very hopeful that that's all there is to it. So, yes, I see Tom Peters in the chat saying thimbles are a metal cup you put over your fingers, your fingertips when sewing. To stop yourself from accidentally poking yourself with a sewing needle. It is just like a little tiny metal cup that just barely fits over the end of your finger. in case there's people that aren't familiar with the term. I know we get a lot of folks here, maybe English isn't even their first language, but that's what a thimble is, Thimble, and that's what she's named after. But I still don't know how DJ's going to name our 3 kittens, whether they're going to be, I don't know. There's been all kinds of suggestions. My favorite, though, and the thing that I think is pretty funny is that almost everybody on Discord, I think if you go back and search this on Discord, it might even be funny because there were so many people who came in on the Discord and would say, I thought of something I bet nobody else has thought of. Maybe not in those words, but they were all like, oh, I got the best idea. Maybe they're going to be named after Monopoly pieces. And I just think it was funny because I saw it over and over. I saw multiple people saying, oh, I bet nobody's thought of this one, Monopoly pieces, when it's like the most mentioned idea. But I can tell you almost for sure that's not it because DJ isn't even familiar with Monopoly pieces as a thing. So probably not going to be that, but who knows? I don't know. Oh, I also see Bethany asking for the Discord link, and I'm sorry to make it sound now all of a sudden like I'm doing an ad pivot or something. I'm definitely not, but I just want to say, for those of you who aren't familiar with our Discord is kind of a private Discord just for Patreons. So the Patreon is only like you can get on it for $1 a month though, so that's how it works for us. And we just do that because we're not up to managing a public Discord server. And that seems like a good compromise. So the kittens are kind of starting to run around a little bit. And like I said, I wanted to reweigh them just to kind of get an idea if they're getting much milk from mom. We can compare them to the weights I took a little bit earlier today and see if there's a difference. Of course, I'm not using the most sensitive scale. So if we don't see a difference in the weights, then, or even if we do see a difference and it's a little bit lower, I'm not going to panic yet, but I'm hoping that what we will see is that there is a tiny increase of 0.1. That's actually a lot to ask, though. I don't think our scale is sensitive enough to help out with this. I should get the more sensitive scale up here if we're going to start checking things this way. But I don't think that she's producing milk from all of her nipples yet, and the kittens, I'm hoping, have figured out which ones to go for. They sure seem like they have, though. Plus, I should mention that she, on the topic of her not being entirely well, she came in with a lot of extra weight on her, so she's got that buffer that can help her last through something like that, which we love. That's just the best. I would be panicking so much more if it weren't for that. And the kittens, oh, look at that. We got one of our first little slap fights. I don't know if you saw it. The kittens also have been born a little bit heavier than usual, which also makes me feel good about it. They I think, got a little bit of that extra weight, too. So that feels real good. Anyway, I see some people still talking about the Discord, and that's great. I hope if any of you enjoy watching this stuff, you do join it. Discord does not get a lot of extra close-ups. I won't say it's never really a thing. On the other hand, Discord does get a lot of extra photos, and obviously I'm on there all day long, so that part's fun too. And it's the most fun either during mailbag or when we have a birth. Discord goes wild, and oh man, it was really going wild for a long time last night. Anyway, let's do this. Let's see some of our kittens up close for the first time individually, and also, double check on those weights and see if we see a difference. Again, I might need the more sensitive scale. This is not a very scientific test, etc., etc. But let's just take a look here. So this was our first kitten born. This one we thought last night, was all black, and so black, like Vanta black. This is the darkest little black kitty I've seen in a long time. But it turns out it turns out she is not, in fact, all black. Let's set her here for 1 second and get her weighed, and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, you might have just seen it. Okay, 3.7. That sounds like the same number we had this morning. But 3.7, and you'll see that she's got a little white dot on her neck and a little white dot on her the back of her belly. So you can see that one down there. Can we see your neck real quick, and then we'll put you right back with your mom, okay, sweetie? There you go. You can see the little white spot on the underside of her neck. So it turns out technically a tuxie, or bicolor, I don't know what you call a cat that doesn't look like a tuxie but has the tuxie colors. White and black, I guess. That works for me. So that was kitten number 1, who was born yesterday. And then the other 2 kittens were born today, which is, let's see, this one is, thank goodness, off a nipple, so we don't have to separate you. This was number 2, who I believe is a boy and weighs the most, and we're going to check him real quick. And 4.7, okay. I'll have to check that against the weight sheet in a minute, or somebody can put it on the weight sheet for me. That's fine too. So number 2, you'll notice, is a tabby like Mom with stripes and dark colors. But unlike Mom, I believe when number 2 gets a little bigger, it'll be easier to see. I believe number 2 is a classic tabby. That's a classic tabby are the ones that have usually, traditionally, if they're a perfect classic tabby, they have like a big @ sign on their side, like a big circle that looks like an @ symbol, and also this distinctive sort of butterfly on their neck, which you can see pretty clearly. Of course, the mackerels can have a lot of that too. But one thing to keep an eye on for him is that he's mostly black, not very stripy, and especially one way that's easy to tell for him is the bottom of his tail. You see how it's chunky like that? Let's immediately compare his tail to number 3 then. Come here, number 3. Look at that stripy. That's just such perfect striping, isn't it, on number 3? And so number 3, I believe, is a girl, and number 3, I think, is going to be a mackerel tabby. It's exactly what Mom is, so it'll just be Mom's twin. 4.1, okay. I know, you're yelling. I want everybody to see you for a second, and then we'll put you right back to what you were doing, okay? I hear you. Oh, okay. Mom's like, what is she yelling for? Okay, that's good. That's good. We got Mom that cares. So, there we go. I just want you to see her little face again. So that's number 3, a.k.a. Lefty, the kick puncher. So we'll see if she keeps up that reputation or not. So that's how you can kind of tell them apart. Hopefully, is that if you just look at them, number 2 is going to be much darker, and number 3 is going to have a little bit more lightness in her colors, but also is going to, I think, end up being more fine stripes like what Mom has. If you can see Mom's, she's got these like broken little stripes like that. I think that's what number 3 is going to end up looking like when she gets a little bigger. And number 2 is not going to look like that at all. But we've had a few sort of semi-classic tabbies like this, and I can't think of their names, but they're beautiful and beautiful boys. So I think he's going to come out looking like them. So Patrick, they do not have names yet. DJ's going to have to give them names. I think she's probably already figured out what names she wants. And it'll just be a matter of getting those from her. But she's on call tonight, so we probably won't see her tonight. Probably won't get the names today. Probably tomorrow would be my guess. I think Allison Tuckwab is asking if we have one of the machines that keeps the babies warm. So first off, we make sure that the temperature in here is just right for the babies. And in fact, you can see a heating pad under here that we can turn on if we need to give a little boost to the box. But we also have the thermostat in this room set specifically to a temperature that's good for the kittens. So we do a pretty good job of that. And yes, we actually do also have a pop-up incubator if it were to come to that. It's nice to have that on hand. Someone sent that in for mailbag, and it was so nice of them. And thank goodness we haven't had to use it yet. Fingers crossed that remains true, that we don't ever have to use it. But it's nice to have it and not have to use it rather than to need one and not have it. So I really appreciate that. Yeah. So you can see they're already pretty good at hunting down and nursing on their own. And again, I'm going to be interested to compare those weights, and it'll be even more indicative, I think, after 24 hours. Then we'll really be able to do something with it. But I just wanted to see. So again, I'll have to get out the more sensitive scale if we're going to keep doing that. And so the thing is, I don't think that she's producing as much milk either as we're used to for most mom cats. And I don't think that all of her little spigots are productive. But I do think that the kittens have definitely figured out which ones are and which ones aren't. I've noticed them. They're very good at finding the right ones and getting latched on there. They were latching really well last night right off the bat. Well, most of them were. But I feel like they're doing just great. So I'm very, despite the fact that Mom could be doing just a little bit better at eating and keeping food down, other than that, I think everybody's doing really well. And again, so if you're coming in late, this is our mom cat. The 3 kittens that you see were born overnight, starting at 10 o'clock and into 4 o'clock this morning. So they are just a few hours old at this point. Their weights are what we're used to from kittens that are a couple days old, though, which is nice to know that they've got that extra bit of buffer on them, just like Mom does. It's hard for me to read the chat from this angle, so if people are saying interesting things, sorry if I missed some of it. I guess I should mention some of the things that we normally mention after a birth that become important. Some things that are normal to see happen. It's normal for Mom to leave the box for a while. She knows, and I know this mom is especially attentive, so she knows when it's safe to leave the kittens alone for a little while, and they'll be fine with that. Also, we're keeping an eye on it, so it's okay if they're alone for a while. It's also not unusual for a kitten to get separated from the other 2 once in a while. Like I mentioned, the box should be warm enough that they're fine even on their own. And yes, like Andrea Chu says, it is real normal to see a mom cat panting after the birth. Even for a couple weeks, it's normal for them to pant a lot. One reason might be that we do keep the box a little warm, but not so warm. It's also just a natural thing for them to do. And speaking of natural things for them to do, it's not unusual to see a little bit of discharge or blood for a few days, a little bit of spotting from Mom. She's just been through a lot, and so it's not unusual for her to leave a little bit of blood on the kittens or on the blankets here in the box. We change them out fairly regularly, but if you see a little bit of blood here and there, not unusual. It is also not unusual for her to sit on one of the kittens for a minute or 2. But generally, you think about the fact that she's been sitting on them for, 2 months now, inside of her when there's even more pressure, and they're fine with that. So her kind of laying on one for a minute, they're actually very, very good about that. The kittens are also way stronger than you might imagine these little kittens could be. I'm always surprised at how strong little kittens are. And they could definitely push out from under her if they need to, if they're in a real tight spot. They are very strong little kittens. So I think that covers the stuff that we like to mention that's real normal. Mom panting, a little bit of blood here and there. Kittens kind of being off by themselves once in a while. Also, kittens fighting, slapping each other and fighting, and doing like that little hissy fighting stuff. That's actually part of their growth. That's super normal and healthy for them to do. It helps them build up their muscles and play and all that stuff. That's really important. So, real normal. You look a little worried about me getting this camera so close to you, but I was hoping to see this little kitten nurse, and then he moved his head the other way. Oh, difficult. That's our little boy, number 2. And right behind him is number 1. Focus, camera. Not so much. All right, that's hard to see anyway because he's really snuggled in that armpit. Number 1, that's his head. Oh, and that's his arm. I didn't even see it there. See, Yes, there you go, buddy. Here's something interesting that you'll notice. Kittens are born with all of their claws. Do you see those 4 little claws? It's not going to focus this close for me. All right, there, you can see them just fine there. Kittens are born with all their claws out and already pretty sharp, actually. Not sharp enough that it's going to hurt anybody, but sharp enough that it will stick on things real easy. Tiny little sharp needle claws. And they actually can't even retract their claws for the first week or two. I guess probably closer to 2 before they can really retract their claws. So they've just got their claws out all the time until then. Considering that, I'm surprised that it's not, even worse for mom during labor or the kids slap fighting each other. But it's just the way kittens are made. I feel like I should mention, I did record the entire birth archive, and we will eventually upload it to YouTube. That reminds me, the micro uploads are also running behind for technical reasons that I am working on when I get a minute. Now I'm just keep interrupting myself. That's not good. I didn't get much sleep last night. I know I said that, but just to make it real clear. Okay, where was I? First off, I remember I was about to say that the micro uploads are a little bit behind for technical reasons. I'm working on it, and the reason that we didn't get any close-ups last week is because I was at the vet almost every day, real busy. And this week, I'm not real busy. I've got almost the whole week unscheduled, so hopefully we can get a little bit more into these close-ups with the new kittens. But the week after this week, next week, I've got more vet visits and things scheduled every day, so that may be a little bit more like last week as far as the close-ups go. We'll see. But hopefully this week we can talk and hang out a little bit more. Then I was going to say about the birth archive. I do have it, and it will eventually get uploaded along with the mailbags that are pending. That's another little technical issue that we have the recordings, and they will get up there in due time. But some stuff for me to work out first. But I did want to say about the archive, there's always someone who's basically asking, why is he so involved, more or less? Why does he even need to be there? Mom cats have babies all the time in the wild, and obviously babies are born all the time without this guy interfering and annoying the mom. And this mom seemed especially annoyed at when she was actually delivering each kitten. I think they were especially big kittens and caused her a little bit of extra pain, and she was not shy about letting me know. So some of you will watch that and feel naturally, like I did. I think you'll feel a little bit of, oh my gosh, he should not be in there because she doesn't want him in there. But first off, I can assure you that most of the time she does want me in there. She was purring and happy the whole time except for when the kittens were causing her a little bit of pain. Otherwise, she was very glad to have me there. And secondly, I'll just say I don't want to get into any detail, but for sure, I don't buy into that argument that kittens deliver cats deliver kittens all the time in the wild, so they should be fine. That's all I can really say is that you're not really thinking that through. It's just simply not true. So, and I don't want to get into details. We don't talk about the sad stuff that happens here. So that's it. In fact, I said too much already. That's enough. Just to say, if that's how you're feeling, you're fine to feel that way. But I'm just going to have to disagree with you. That's all. So, but I can sure understand watching that video and feeling that way. I would even feel that way, like, oh, please stop. But you don't have to let that feeling overwhelm you to the point where you have to say something that's just think it through a little bit. That's all. Well, I think it would be nice if we actually walked out of here and took just a minute to try to find the older kittens that we've still got at the academy. And I know that the older kittens are coming up on their graduation surgeries. That's part of what we're doing next week. I said I was going to be at the vet every day next week. And part of that is bringing all of the older kittens in to have their spays and neuters. Spays and one neuter, I guess. So that means that they will be ready to be adopted basically on Christmas Day is the day when they'll be ready. Which is nice. Not that I would expect or even necessarily want anybody to spend their Christmas day traveling to Kitten Academy to pick up a kitten they had adopted. You're certainly welcome to do it afterwards, and that's fine. We're used to hanging on to the kittens as long as it takes to be convenient for the adopters. That's not a problem. But I bring it up because I know that, and I don't know, sorry, off the top of my head which ones, but I do know a couple of the older kittens don't have adopters yet. And that none of the approved adopters have been announced to me or anybody yet. They may not be finalized, but Dawes did let me know that they need a couple more adopters for a couple of the kittens. So let's go see them real quick here. And if you want to keep watching these kittens, I know they are on the regular Kitten Academy live stream all of the time. So you can do that. Just tune in here on YouTube, Kitten Academy live stream. You might even be watching that right now because the close-ups go out on that now also. Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can get out this door nice and careful and bring my coffee with because it's super important today of all days. Whew. So first off, let's peek in at the older kitten's mom, who's on her own right now in here. Oh, hi. I thought you were going to be in your big floofy bed, but you heard me talking and went to the door, didn't you? So this is Cahoots. Hi, Cahootie. You'll see she still has a bit of a tilt in her head. We're giving her antibiotics in the hope that that's going to be the thing that fixes it. Otherwise, I think she's going to end up just being a cat that has a tilted head. And maybe anyway. But we are giving her some meds for that. Which reminds me, I think I still need to give her dose for this morning. I'll do that right after the close-up. And she spends a lot of her time in here just so that she can eat on her own without getting too worked up about things. And loves sleeping in this big fluffy marshmallow blanket. So if you see her on the stream, a lot of times you're going to see her right in there. But she is, like I said, recovering from her surgery right now, and she is asking me for second breakfast right now. You can see that she goes to the food dish and then she looks. She is, oh yeah, she'll be your best friend if you're going to feed her. There's a little food in there. I think you could get it out, Cahootie. So that's Cahoots, and she's, I'll say for anybody that is going to adopt her, she would be great to adopt with one of her kittens because they get along great, and she's a good mom to them still. Wonderful mom to them. In fact, Discord saw some pictures of them all nursing on her just last night, I think it was, where they're, each almost as big as she is now. She's a tiny little kitten, and they are now big kittens. Let's go see them. So what I was going to say, though, is that she is, so far, she's been pretty unwilling to be friends with other cats other than her own. So I would definitely suggest either adopting her with her kittens or just plan on having her be an only cat, which is, she would make a great only cat. She loves to be around people. She doesn't love to be left alone too much. But she's also not a super lap cat. She'll get on your lap a bit here and there, but mostly likes to just be with you in the same room all the time. So if you want a cat that's real low maintenance, but also real fun and a little crazy, that's this one right here. That's Cahoots. The mom cat. Now, I heard her kittens also heard me talking, and they came up to the door. At least one of them. I know I heard you. Oh, there you are. Okay. So this looks like the boy. She only had one boy, and this is him. His name is Hogwash, and he definitely heard me talking and came up here and started yelling about it. But let's go find all four of his sisters, too. I think they're all downstairs. Let's bring him with... Oh, he's got a big purr. All the kittens have such big purrs now, and they're super affectionate and playful and crazy. This is Mayhem. Speaking of being crazy, Mayhem, the girl kitten, the one with the little dot on her forehead. Well, she's not going to show me because she's too interested in sniffing my finger. And then the rest of them were hanging out in this tree in the den. It looks like they still are. So this one you can tell is Flim Flam. You can tell it's Flim Flam because the hood doesn't quite cover the eye, and because we already saw the boy. So, but really you can tell because of the big dot still on the back, right in the middle of her shoulder blades. Big, big dot. So that is in fact Flim Flam. They're all so affectionate now, and they purr and they snuggle and they sit in my lap. Mostly though, they wrestle and fight. Lots of that. So they're very, very active hyper kittens, all of them, and would do really well adopted together or meeting a new kitten that they can play and wrestle with. This one is Hoodwink. You can tell again because that gray goes down and covers her entire eye. So that's girl Hoodwink. And that just leaves one kitten that we haven't seen yet, that is Bamboozle. But I also don't see Bamboozle here in the tree. Or here, where these Mayhem and the boy Hogwash. So where is she, I wonder? Let's take a quick look, just so we don't leave anybody out. I have a vague impression of a kitten heading this direction. Not seeing it. Oh, who's that? Is that a kitten? Not exactly. That's Custard. Custard, what are you doing living in there? You think you're a kitten? Okay, buddy. Wow. Unusual to see Custard hanging out in the kitten room in a pod, in the kitten cave. Oh, there you are. Wow, I would have almost missed her. Good thing I looked that way. So she's in the cat tree. This is Bamboozle. Hi, Bam. What are you thinking? Oh, such a sweetheart. Oh, I don't know if I just changed the volume on the stream or something. I clicked something on my phone. Sorry if you can't hear me all of a sudden. If it didn't change anything, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing. Anyway, there's Bam sitting on her own. She is sort of independent compared to the others. So is Mayhem. I usually see either Bam or Mayhem. More likely Bam kind of hanging out on her own. I don't know, though. They're also real friendly with each other, too. They're real good, classic sort of kittens. So, good. I see the volume's still good. All right, I guess I didn't break anything. So, yeah, this is Hoodwink. That's Bamboozle. And that is Mayhem playing with a pineapple. Oh, no, playing with that little black worm behind the pineapple. Yes, this is a big favorite toy. Okay, there you go. Okay. And there's a big yawn from Flim Flam. And finally, the boy just came out of the litter box. Okay, the boy. I always just call Hogwash the boy because there's just one boy in this group. Okay, pal, you don't have to bite my fingers. You should bite your sisters instead. All right, well, hey, look, we've gone long enough. It's been over 30 minutes. I really appreciate you guys hanging out and the new kittens and just everything, the chatting. Thank you so much, by the way. I love people asking things and pointing out things in the chat when I get a chance to look at it because it gives me something to ramble about and it makes these so much more fun for me too, that interaction. It's what's the whole reason that this is different from the micros, I suppose. So thank you so much for that. And just a quick reminder, I know at least some of these kittens and maybe their mom do still need applications put in. So if you want to apply, do that on our website, please. Our website is kitten.academy. There's an application right in the menu. Even though the kittens are adopted via DAWS, DAWS prefers you to use our application, not their application. So definitely our website, kitten.academy. Like I said, they're all getting their spays and neuters next week. And should be available for adoption shortly thereafter. Now, traditionally, the girls have to wait 10 days after their spays before they can be adopted. But the doctor's trying something new with the sutures, so that may not be the case, or it may be the case. No promises, but just so you know. And then the boys, of course, they're ready to go usually the next day. They recover real fast. And their mom's already had hers. Like I said, she's up there sort of recovering from that now and doing a very good job of it. All right, one more time, thanks to everybody for everything. And I will see all of you, well, next time. And also I'll see you on the regular Kitten Academy stream and the Discord and et cetera, et cetera. All right, Custard, say goodbye to everybody. Good job, buddy. You got this.